This play occurred right after a dangerous throw, challenging the same side of the field, and it is intercepted. Oh no, it's gone. It's gone. The Stampeders lost a key piece in Reggie Bagleton. He's a sure-handed receiver. We'll need to see how big of an impact it will be here on out, however. A lineman went down too, and I would be more concerned with losing that starting lineman personally. The lineman apparently was in recovery of a prior injury, so hopefully it was not exacerbated. Now, losing a lineman in general is pretty bad because he enables the run, he enables the pass, he protects the quarterback. There's a lot going on once you lose a lineman. But nonetheless, I just felt bad for Bagleton because you could see that he was scared that he was going to have an endpoint for his paychecks. It seemed like a serious injury. Just from how he was acting on the sidelines, he was consoled by a fellow teammate and so on. Vernon made improvements despite facing more pressure, and that's a great thing to see. His ability to scramble has allowed the Stampeders to keep the coverage honest. The Argonauts defense was an order higher than what Calgary had faced last week against Hamilton, leading to less potent run attack. I did like that their defense swarmed to the ball carrier whenever Arbuckle of the Argonauts distributed the ball. The defense was able to handle Arbuckle well, sometimes hitting him, and other times he just committed unforced errors. I noted that Calgary's pass defense was good, but I just did not figure them to be this good, having had picked the Argonauts in the preview episode. I am coming around to the idea that Arbuckle does not need to spread the love with pass targets to receivers, but this is a false promise because you see how the Stampeders focused on someone like an Ungerer. Despite him performing well in the prior match, the Stampeders sort of keyed in to the fact that this is Arbuckle's safety valve. He's one of them, and they focused on both safety valves. The Argonauts were running the ball better because I just have to say the Alouettes have an all-around elite defense. It wasn't so much that the Calgary Stampeders had a bad defense. They were able to wrap up when they needed to. However, it seemed to be that the Alouettes just had such a stronger defense that the Argonauts' rush attack was held in check. Nonetheless, I didn't like how they had to lean on Arbuckle because he is the backup after all. Chad Kelly remains injured, and maybe he'll be able to throw the ball a little bit better. However, Arbuckle himself, he was the Grey Cup champion there. We'll see if Chad Kelly might take the position when he's feeling healthier. The defense was able to get home to strike Vernon in ways the Tiger Cats could not, as I predicted. However, Arbuckle handed a score to the Stampeders late in the second quarter, which goes to show that the Stampeders had him schemed so well, unfortunately, despite him being the Grey Cup champion, or the MVP of the Grey Cup too. Anyways, it seemed like the deficiencies of Toronto allowed the Stampeders to exploit their offense pretty effectively. Winston McManus, a great tackler, he went down, and that's a huge, huge, huge loss because someone like that, he leads the defense, he's good at tackling, and he also plays the linebacker is almost like the offensive lineman of the defense. Why do I say that? I'm not saying that in terms of what their duties are. I'm saying that the linebacker has a factor in a little bit of everything. He has a factor in the rush defense. He has a factor in the pass defense. He oftentimes leads the team. It's a huge loss to lose that guy on field. And Deonta McMahon was also injured. As we go to the next clip here, we're going to play through two clips here. As you see, he's getting hit. He's getting hit often, but he's also providing a balance for that a rush attack would provide as a scrambler. He's keeping the defense honest because this can happen right here as he extends for a first down. Adams showed improvement against a tougher defense than Week 1's opponent, having had no interceptions. I'm not caught up with there being no touchdown passes because he got them on frame to up the score consistently. If you look at the receiver targets, I would not like that as a pass game coordinator, but there's room for improvement. I don't like that Adams is the lead rusher, but he is unfortunately going to be the guy to balance the defense whenever his team plays an elite defense, it seems. Mills will be able to do that for him in more games, no worries. It's just that when he's playing against the Alouettes, he's playing against these Argonauts, he's going to have to carry the team on his back a little bit. But when they're playing a team like the Tiger Cats last week or the Elks, I'm sure that Mills will be able to run down their throats fairly well. In any case, the second down efficiency was incredible. Any fellow Yanks watching this vid, they only have 3 downs in this game. And this guy converted them on second and long very well and very often. The defense as a unit hung tough just by playing their scheme, and were able to get a couple licks in on the quarterback and plenty of hurries, making Arbuckle's life a little bit difficult as we go to the next clip. Okay, let's see what Arbuckle can do here. He's able to create something right there. But this is just emblematic of the ability to rush the quarterback there. In any case, let's look at these right here. His stats, just not as good as we would have liked, huh? Arbuckle is on the edge of bad pass production, hitting that average of 7 yards per attempt. That's not bad. That's not good. It's just good enough to go. But what is glaring are those interceptions, right? He leaned on 4 targets, but would have preferred 3. The reason he spread the ball to 4 was because the defense hyper-fixated on his favorites. The rush attack gave the offense the balance necessary to win the match, but the passing just wasn't there. The defense was able to hit Vernon Adams. They sacked him, sure, but they also wore him down whenever he failed to slide. Here, I'm going to give you what you want. Let's see that scrambler. What is he going to do here? Nobody's open, and see how that number 27 got tweaked there a little bit? I do enjoy seeing that. Yes, the passing seems even, but as we saw in the prior slides, these yards are not very indicative of effectiveness. Adams outdueled Arbuckle completely. Similarly, despite there being a rush yard deficit, the Argonauts' run game was more effective for the overall game plan, despite second down efficiency being half. You have to realize that Mr. Adams was dealing with second down runs, and these other stats are more or less negligible. What you have to look at is the interception. There were 2 interceptions, and 1 was returned for a touchdown. So let's move on to another slide, please. So let's look at how he's facing down the pressure, and he throws over the top, and the only reason that worked was because the defensive backs had their heads turned. That's generally not a good pass, but since the defensive backs were so busy being beaten and not looking back at the quarterback, that's what can happen with that tight little window. He threw it past those defensive backs, and his wide receiver was able to end up with that ball. I was wrong about the Stampeders losing the game. They won their match against the Argonauts convincingly, covering the spread by playing solid defense and Vernon Adams being the offense. Securing Adams this season seems to provide some good upside. I'm looking forward to working on the next preview video involving Calgary because they might have a little bit more pop than I initially suspected. I hope you guys like the video elements. Bye for now.